This is Build Series Sydney. I'm your host, Danny Clayton, and joining me right now, writer, producer, actor, and ambassador for being fabulous, Daniel Monks.
Thank you.
How are you doing, sir?
I'm better for being the ambassador for being fabulous. That's great.
I mean, you've earned it.
Thank you.
You've earned it. Because, hey, I'm a huge fan of Gay Christmas at the Mardi Gras.
Yes.
And I was really envious that you were the ambassador for a float.
I know. For people with Disabilities Australia, the evolution to inclusion float.
It's true. I mean, this isn't what I was going to talk about straight off the bat, but I mean, what does being an ambassador for a float at the Mardi Gras actually involve? I mean,
Well, not a lot. It basically just means like media to promote the float and being part. But what was great is I had walked with that float 2 years prior, so it was really nice that the third year I got promoted to ambassador. Which was pretty cool.
I thought there was this like extra tinsel.
Yes.
Or like confetti or something.
That was the year that Cher was there, and I really wanted to meet her, but alas, no.
That was the year that Cher was there. So that's 2016?
18.
18?
I think it was last year.
Was that last year?
Yeah.
Oh, gosh.
Time flies.
Time does fly.
Yeah.
You didn't get a chance to meet Cher?
I didn't.
No. Is that someone on your like...
Not really. But it was, Gay Christmas, so it feels like a time to meet Cher.
Definitely. Now, I did want to talk to you about a whole range of different things. I wanted to talk to you about your movie. I want to talk to you about writing. I mean, to kick things off, Pulse, congratulations.
Thank you.
That is a huge project that you wrote yourself, you produced yourself. For those who haven't seen Pulse, I mean, can you break it down for us?
Totally. So it's quite a personal feature film. It was directed by my amazing film partner, Stevie Martin, and it's about a gay disabled teenage boy who has a fantastical full body transplant into the body of a beautiful woman so that he can make his straight best friend fall in love with him. And so it's, as a gay disabled person, it was very much inspired by my struggles as a teenager with my disability and sexuality. And as being a micro budget Australian feature film, I think I started writing it in 2009, so it's been a decade of this film.
Yeah.
This film's going to follow me to the grave in the best way possible. I hope so. I hope it lives that long.
So, I mean, when did that first seed of the idea kind of plant inside of your head before that tree began to grow?
Yeah. Well, the first seed was definitely, at the time I didn't think I was going to make it into a feature film because I didn't even know I wanted to be a filmmaker at the time. But when I was 11, I became disabled. And when I went back to school, it was really challenging for me because before I was completely able-bodied, and then when I acquired my disability at first, I was quadriplegic, and then my left side came back. And before I went into hospital, I was like the lead in my Year 6 musical and stuff like that, and then I went back to school in a wheelchair with a carer, and my relationship with my body felt very different, and bodies and appearances felt very arbitrary to me because mine no longer felt like it represented who I was. And I remember at the same time I was realizing that boys are very pretty and I like looking at them. And there was the boy in my class that I really liked, and he was dating as much as you do as a 12-year-old, the pretty blonde girl. And I remember thinking, if I looked like her, then he would look at me that way, he would want to be with me. And I guess that was the very early genesis of just really the question of how much our bodies shape who we are, not only by the way other people treat us, but by the way we treat ourselves.
I mean, because that's a lot for a young boy to get his head around.
Totally, childhood trauma.
Dealing with the sexuality. I mean, can you remember coming out and like who you first told? Am I allowed to ask you how you came out?
So I didn't come out to everyone until I was 19. So I knew I knew always, but I learned what the word gay meant when I was 12. But the first person I came out to when I was 13 was a really close family friend who happened to be a psychologist and really helped me through those years. And I came out to her. But I very much decided, as I think a lot of gay teens do, yes, I'm gay, but I also went to a private Catholic school in Perth, in the suburbs of Perth, and I felt like it wasn't necessarily the best idea or the safest for me to come out. So I decided I'll keep this a secret, and I very much tried to... I felt like my first real acting role was playing my straight older brother, which I did as a teenager. Like, all his music I liked, even though I hate it. Yeah. And then, trying to blend in and not, as a kid, those things that make you different, you feel like there's something that you should be ashamed about. And so you try to minimize them. And as an adult, you realize that the things you should be the proudest of. And so you should go to Gay Christmas and meet Cher. So
Yeah. I mean, you were talking about how you used to act a lot as a kid.
Yeah.
So, I mean, theatre and acting was always a part of your life. Were you, quite a flamboyant
I was
drama
the most
boy?
flamboyant.
'Cause-
I was. There's photos of me at 2 years old wearing my mum's bras and like posing, like full on posing. And
So you were giving people hints.
I was
Yeah.
like, I was giving people more than hints, but I didn't know what I was hinting at. I was just like, I love girly things. And I mean, my greatest obsession in my life was when I think it was from age like 6 to 8. I was obsessed with the Spice Girls and like everything Spice Girls I owned, every video of the Spice Girls I could get, I watched. And when I was in year 3, for the years 1 and 2 at lunchtime in the multi-purpose room, me and 4 of my friends, we did the Spice Girls in what I have since discovered is drag. But at the time I didn't know it, so at the time I just invented drag for myself.
Yeah.
And so I, wearing a leotard and balloons in my leotard and did a drag performance and stuff. And yeah. And I don't know why. That was at the same Catholic school, so I don't know why I thought it wasn't okay for me to come out, because the teachers were supportive. But, I guess as an 8-year-old, they were just like, oh, that's sweet.
Yeah, but on that note, I mean, Spice Girls is not an exclusively gay band. I mean, I was a big fan of the Spice
They are
Girls. I was
amazing.
obsessed with Hilary Duff.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, I loved Hilary Duff. I mean, I was throwing out some pretty big signals too.
Yeah,
But
totally.
I just made sure I balanced it out with
Exactly.
like Metallica
Exactly,
as well.
exactly. Yeah, totally.
So you're a young guy. You've just discovered that you've had this major traumatic physical occurrence to you.
Yeah, yeah.
What does that do to your prospects of continuing at being an actor?
Yeah, I mean, it kind of crushes them, because my mum was an actress. She went to NIDA and she became a casting director when I was 2 years old. And when I was a kid, like, she cast a lot of kids' TV series. So she cast like Ship to Shore and
Love that
yeah,
show.
totally. And like, and as a kid, like, we used to always go to set, and like the lead actress used to babysit us. So the world of acting and actors wasn't a foreign concept to us. It was kind of within arm's reach. And as a kid, I was doing lots of, kids commercials and stuff like that. And I really was very ambitious and like, I'm going to be an actor. And then when I became disabled, yeah, it was really hard. I thought, oh, maybe this isn't something that I'll be able to do. And everything that I didn't know any other disabled actors who were working. I contacted one of the drama schools and asked them if they take actors with physical and mobility disabilities, and they said that because they train actors for potential careers, then there wasn't much of a career prospects for disabled actors, that they don't. Fortunately now, this was back in 2001, so fortunately now things have changed a lot, which is great, and they're heading in the right direction. But basically everything told me, no, you can't do this. So I kind of, that dream was crushed until I was like 23, 24. Yeah.
I mean, just on this topic, can we talk about Drake? Drake. And I'm talking about hip-hop artist Drake.
Yes.
Playing a guy in a wheelchair.
Oh my God, I did not know this.
You didn't know this?
No.
Oh my gosh.
Drake.
So Drake was starring in this huge television show.
Degrassi?
Yeah,
Next
Degrassi.
Generation. I didn't know he was...
His character was a guy in a wheelchair.
Yeah, wow.
And so when you see able-bodied people playing roles of people who could be played by someone with a disability,
Totally.
does that piss you off?
Totally. And I used to be... When I was first acting, I was like much more, I don't know, diplomatic, and I was like, sometimes it's appropriate. But now I'm just like, it's not appropriate. Like, people say in the philosophy of acting, the defense of a lot of people is, acting is pretend, and we should be able to play anyone. And I completely agree. But currently, we only let white, able-bodied, cisgendered, straight, mostly men play anybody. And the minorities, we don't even not get to play everybody. We don't even get to play ourselves. And so it's really frustrating. And so, and especially with disability, we're so often invisible to society, or if we are visible, we're spoken for by abled people. So having able people play us feels that much more frustrating. So now I feel much more passionate about the fact that we should be able to tell our own stories, and hopefully in the future, once there is true equality when it comes to opportunities for actors of all kinds, that all people can be part of telling all stories, but it feels a bit naive to think that it's an equal playing field at the moment. Of
course. I mean, there's so many things I want to ask you.
Go ahead.
I mean, do you have actors who you admire that do have disabilities? Who are your acting heroes in that regards?
Ali Stroker, really. I saw her on Broadway when she was the first wheelchair user to be in a Broadway show in Deaf West production of Spring Awakening. I think it was 2015, maybe 2014. And then this year she was the first wheelchair user to win an acting Tony for Best Featured Actress in a Musical. And not only seeing her performance and seeing her work, but also the way she speaks about it, I just find really, I don't know, reassuring and igniting. And, you know, if she really feels like she's leading the charge. And there's also, even like within Australia and with Sydney, I know so many amazing disabled actors and filmmakers and theatre makers who are all creating, whether there are the opportunities for us or not. And I hope that that we get more opportunities and that we don't just have to make for ourselves, you know?
Yeah, definitely. What about able-bodied actors? Do you have those people that you can take things from as well? Like who?
I mean, I'm obsessed with actors and I'm obsessed with acting. I was literally...
I picked that up, pretty
quickly.
Pretty quickly. I think he likes acting.
Yeah, Daniel Monks is an actor.
Yeah.
But no, I was literally just playing a game just before this. I was texting with my friend, playing like, who do you prefer out of like actors, and just going through. But I love them. I think my all-time, the actor who for me, I think just like is just the greatest actor in my opinion is Seymour Hoffman.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
It's just like he can do no wrong in every performance, and I've seen him on stage as well as on screen, and I just like, whenever I need to be inspired, I just like watch his work, and yeah, he's just the best.
Pop quiz, favorite role of his.
I think one of the greatest screen performances I think ever is Capote, and his performance is Capote. Like when I saw that, I think I saw it when I was like 17, and I was like, that's what acting can do and can be. It was really inspiring. But all of them, like they're all so good. Like, yeah, Boogie Nights, Before the Devil Knows You're Dead, The Savages, like he's just flawless.
Also a stage actor as well.
Yes.
Which is a huge part of your world now.
Yes.
I mean, congratulations, Sydney Theatre Company.
Thank you.
Performing a round of applause. I mean, that's pretty good. So I would imagine that stepping out on the stage at the Sydney Theatre Company as an actor is a little bit like an athlete walking out into the MCG.
Yeah.
You know, it would be like coming into this place that carries a weight with it.
Yeah, totally.
And really acknowledges that, all right, you know, like you made it.
Yeah.
So tell me about that experience of kind of stepping into a place that has seen so many of the greats do their thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing. When I moved to Sydney, I was 19, and for my 21st birthday, all my friends chipped in and got me a year subscription to STC. So, like, it's pretty, like, full circle cuteness.
That hit me in the heart.
I know, it's
That's
lovely.
really sweet.
I know, and, like, I mean, currently I'm in Blanchett's dressing room, which isn't too bad. And so, no, it's amazing. And also, in terms of being an athlete, like, this show in particular, disabled or not, like it is a physical show, and so like I'm having to, and physically and vocally, like my voice is a bit rusty because like it's like having to treat yourself like an athlete, you know, like really, I've never done a show as physically or vocally demanding, but it's kind of really satisfying that way. Like you just fall asleep so exhausted, but kind of like, oh, I did it, you know.
So do you have those vocal warm-ups?
Oh my gosh, we all do. I will not do them here.
Can I ask you to do the vocal warm-up real quick? Come on, please.
I can do one tongue twister.
Okay, go for it.
Oh my gosh, my mouth is so dry, this is going to be terrible. I'll go for it. This is one from my mother, so I got to give full credit to Addie Monks. Theophilus Hissel the thistle sifter sifted a sifter full of unsifted thistles. If Theophilus Hissel the thistle sifter sifted a sifter full of unsifted thistles, where is the sifter full of sifted thistles that Theophilus Hissel the thistle sifter sifted?
Boom! Oh my God.
But that was a bit sloppy because my mouth is dry.
Man, I think you just made me dizzy. Jesus.
I made myself
Going
dizzy.
Circles. Lord of the Flies.
Yeah.
So this is the play that you are currently performing at the Sydney Theatre Company.
Yeah.
What a sensational play. One of my favourite books as a kid.
Oh my gosh, it's so
I
good.
mean, obviously it's an iconic piece of literature.
Yeah.
You're playing Roger.
Yes.
So I've been told from an actress who's actually in the front row right now, Charlotte. She says that you are one of the most terrifying people on stage.
Oh, that's very
What is it
nice.
like playing an evil character?
Oh, it's so much fun. I mean, as a disabled person, the roles that I usually get offered are always like the abused and terrified characters. So now to play an abusive and terrifying character is very satisfying. It's like getting my comeback.
Well, that's dark.
Yeah, totally.
You're so twisted.
I know, really. Well, watch the show and you'll see. No, but it's been really nice. It's been really fun. It's also just really great as well because I think it's so rare to see disabled bodies on stage, especially on main stages. And it really excited me to have my body be on stage and it not to be an image of pity or anything like that, but for it to be an image of power, regardless of the morality of it. Like
of horror.
Yeah, the horror, exactly. And like my crutch, which is my mobility aid, which I use everywhere, it was used as a weapon as opposed to, you know, something like that. And so it's pretty fun.
That's like pretty incredible imagery.
Yeah,
totally.
totally.
As well.
Totally.
So, I mean, as actors, you draw things into yourself to portray particular people and characters.
Yes.
Where did the sinister nature of this role come from? Who are you drawing from? What inspired you to give Roger that particularly evil twist?
Well, there's so much. I mean, it was very important to me and the director, Kit Williams, that he wasn't just like a write-em-off psychopath, that we understood the human and that whole thing of hurt people. And so it was important for me to really understand his pain and his rage. And also because he's 11 years old. So like, especially if an 11-year-old goes through trauma and doesn't have the support to be able to deal with it, that pain has to go somewhere. And, you know, hurting someone else is a discharging of pain in a way. And so, I mean, it was as much as possible trying to empathize with and understand him. And also as well, like, I got to say, there's something quite cathartic. As someone who tries to be, you know, a nice, amiable person, there's something nice being a human in this world right now to let out your rage each night.
To be mean.
Yeah.
I mean, like, when you talk about Roger, you know, like, Roger is a kid who's gone through trauma and without being supported has kind of gone bad.
Totally.
So clearly, or at least from, you know, my limited knowledge of you, you're someone who's gone through trauma but turned out quite nice.
Totally. Well, I had great support. So maybe if I didn't, you know. No. Yeah. But also as well, like, I think as well, I mean, not at all that, you know, with every character you play, you try to have empathy and try to have understanding. And so, like, I feel like what I can bring to him and my interpretation of the role is I understand pain, I understand trauma, and hopefully, it's important for me, as terrifying as he is, and how as possibly distancing as the audience will obviously feel from him because he does terrible things, that you still understand that he's a human being, and you know, he's not just the devil, which I think in some interpretations of the book he can be seen as.
No, that's how I interpreted it. Even that laugh, that was sinister. I can see him coming.
My laugh has got more sinister doing this show. Like, I didn't realize how evil my laugh was until doing this show.
Now, like, I did want to touch on some of the support that you received. Because Charlie Teo, the neurosurgeon, is someone who I find truly fascinating.
Yeah.
I feel like he is a medical professional who is just really, really good at what he does. Now, I mean, loads of different people have a variety of different opinions. Charlie, tell me about him.
He's the man who saved my life. I wouldn't be here today if not for him. And all the people who say things about him, all the industry stuff, I really don't know what it's about. From my perception, it feels like just professional egos and stuff. But at the end of the day, I had a spinal cord tumor, which was told to be inoperable and was pretty much a death sentence. And he was the only person who said I could operate. He operated on it and he removed the tumor entirely. And I've never had a tumor since. And I wouldn't have made it probably to age 12 or 13 if it was not for him. So I truly owe him my life, and I think he's extraordinary. And I think we should celebrate him as opposed to try to tear him down.
Of course. And when you consider the amount of people he has helped, gosh, he must have so many people sending him flowers on his birthday. So, I mean, do you ever get a chance to talk to Tio.
Totally. I mean, like, we keep in touch, and I have yearly MRIs to make sure nothing grows back, and so we send it to him and stuff. But, you know, like, over the years, you try to give as much appreciation as possible, but what can you say to the man that's the reason you're living? Do you know what I mean? Like, there's only so much you can say. So
it's actually like difficult not to get emotional
Totally.
like, when talking about something that's had such a huge impact. I mean, when you look forward to the things that you know, your recovery.
Yeah.
I mean, because initially I was told that you didn't have as much mobility as you had, and slowly but surely you found new strengths.
Yes,
and
yes.
you. So what was that progression like for you
Yeah.
as a young kid?
So before the tumor was removed, my paralysis was due to complications from the biopsy test, which was about 7 months prior to Charlie removing my tumor. And so initially, when the swelling happened, I was quadriplegic, so paralyzed from the neck down. And so my left side came back quite quickly, but it was my left arm came back quite quickly. But it was about 6 months of intensive rehab at Princess Margaret Hospital, Children's Hospital in Perth, to regain function, and that was really hard, as you can imagine. But it was really, I mean, look, I'm grateful. The thing as well with, I think it can always be worse. I mean, you know, like I'm so grateful for what I have. And I think as a teenager, I had a lot of rage at what I had lost and a lot of anger and sadness and grief over what I'd lost. Whereas as an adult, I'm just so thankful for what I have. And I think that's like I think can go about life in a more, I don't know, happy way if you know, focus on what you have as opposed to what you've lost.
This might be a really simple question, but
Please.
were you left or right-handed?
I was always left-handed, silver lining.
Okay, because that's like an incredible thing to ponder. But
yeah.
As someone who had, you know, the full function of their body, because there's some people who are born without the ability to use their legs or arms.
Yeah.
So for someone who was walking around with full use of their body and then has come into a situation where they can no longer use, you know, one of their arms correctly. I mean, what is that like? And do you still dream? Like, you know, like when you dream, do you walk around? You know,
it's really interesting. I definitely, I don't know. It's kind of. I was talking to my trans friend recently about this, and I do feel like, because I was 11 as well, so like your kind of self-identity is formed to a certain extent and quite a strong extent, and so for a long time, the person I saw in the mirror wasn't the person that I felt I was, and I felt dysphoria with that. And so I definitely, in my dreams, was running or using my right arm and stuff. But having said that, it's been now, God, I'm so bad at maths, 19 years? So well over, I've lived a lot more life as a disabled person than as an able-bodied person. And I don't think I'd dream able-bodied anymore. I think all my dreams are disabled now.
So it's become you. Your identity.
It's become you. I have become myself.
I wanted to read you out a quote
Cool.
because someone who I look up to a great deal and who is just a great mate of mine is Dylan Alcott.
Oh, amazing.
Now, Dylan, like, every day he impresses me, and not only because, you know, he's a professional basketballer, he's gone to Wimbledon to play tennis, and but now he's incredibly getting involved in this whole movement, removing the barriers, helping people with disabilities get employed. And this is one quote that really stood out that he said. He said, unconscious bias, as he says, it's a lack of expectation, negative perception, and an assumption that people with a disability are broken, less capable, and unemployable because of their disability. It's not fair because, most importantly, it's not true.
Totally.
What are your thoughts on employment in your field as a person?
I mean, I completely agree. And what's really hard as well is, like, when that's the dominant narrative we're told, and with media that we tell about disability, like, it's really hard not to internalize that ableism. And, like, for me, I thought I couldn't be an actor for however many years because I was told by society you can't, and it is that soft prejudice of lowered expectations that can be really detrimental. And so, I mean, I mentor a couple of younger disabled actors, and I feel like all I really try to do with them is just say, you can do this. And, like, the only thing, I mean, the fact that my arm can't move and I have a limp, that doesn't stop me at all from being a good actor or from being able to act any role. It's really the physical and attitudinal barriers that the industry puts up. And so like we got to tear the industry down, or at least those barriers down.
Yeah. I mean, one of my favorite characters in a series is Walter White Jr. from Breaking
Totally.
Bad. He's got
RJ
a cerebral palsy,
Yeah.
and like he's fantastic actor.
Totally. And an amazing advocate as well. And
Yeah. Which is interesting because now I guess you're taking on the role of the mentor.
Yes.
Now, do you find that has fallen onto your shoulders, that you have to be the person who can take other people under your wing and say, look, this is what's possible?
Yeah. It's interesting. I love it. I mean, it feels important to me. It feels really important to me. I mean, when I decided I want to be an actor, I wanted to do it because I loved it, but I also thought, well, this is going to be a much harder road, and it's going to be much harder for me than my abled peers, but if I could have any success, it can hopefully have more impact. And so having that opportunity really feels part of that. And I mean, my family friend who's a psychologist who I came out to when I was 13, having that older support and someone to be able to help you know you're not alone in your struggle, and also kind of give you hope for what your future can be, that meant so much to me. And so if I can give an ounce of what she gave to me to other younger disabled actors, then that's like a life well lived.
All right, so that's pretty cool. But it's so funny because that it's really hard for me to get onto my next topic because I was like, that's really, really cool. But let me talk about Teenage Dick.
Amazing.
How do I bring this into a sentence? You're going overseas to one of the greatest theatres of all time. And I just want to make sure, Teenage Dick. Yes. Teenage Dick.
It's the best title ever.
Can you please make me not look like an idiot?
Totally.
And explain what Teenage Dick is.
Totally. So Teenage Dick is a new American play by Mike Lew, and it's a modern reimagining of Richard III set in an American high school. So hence Teenage Dick, which is just like the best pun ever. And also as well, like the most shocking thing for people to Google. So
definitely. How do you buy tickets?
No, right? Yeah. But it's really exciting because it was on the New York at the Public Theatre, and after I do a lot of the flyers, I go to London, and I'm doing it at the Donmar Warehouse in the West End with Michael Longhurst, the new artistic director, who will be directing as part of his debut season. And it's very exciting, and I'm so excited. Okay.
A few things we need to break down right there.
Yes.
Let's talk about the venue first.
Yeah.
This is a theatre which has seen, oh God, how do you break it down? Who's played there? Jude Law, Elijah Wood, like every A-grade Hollywood actor that has decided to go on theatre has been in this theatre.
Totally.
How are you feeling about this?
Oh, I'm so excited. I mean, like Dame Judi Dench and Ian McKellen, and like Nicole Kidman when she did The Blue Room. Like, it's kind of... I mean, I went over to London. My brother lives there with his family, so it was kind of like a perfect opportunity to try there. And I knew that, at least in the Western world, when it came to disability, London seemed the most progressive. And I was able to sign with these amazing supportive agents. And, I took the risk to go over and to try to see if I could, make the most of some opportunities. And so to get this opportunity, it's just like the dream of dreams. And also, I mean, it sounds so corny. I always have like a photo wall. It's not a vision board, but it has like inspiration and kind of vision boardy. Like,
you sound like a 13-year-old girl.
I'm a 13-year-old girl. That's actually my personality. Everything I like is 13-year-old girls. And basically, I had a photo of Richard III for like the past 5 years. Wow. And so now get to play him, and also not only him, but him in a new retelling that's really funny and dark and weird and just all the things I like. It's just really exciting.
I expected to see Richard III, the theatres that you want to play, and then just Justin Bieber next to that, and the Spice Girls.
Spice Girls, not Justin Bieber, but definitely the Spice Girls.
So we've got a Q&A coming in, so people wanted to ask you a few questions of you while you're here.
Awesome.
And I mean, to kick things off, were the actors with disabilities that you would look to for inspiration whilst forming your career, and who are the actors who we should be keeping an eye on?
Just for inspiration, definitely like the ones... when I looked to see if there was a chance to be a disabled actor, the only ones I could see were Peter Dinklage, who plays Tyrion Lannister in Game of Thrones.
What a legend.
Truly. And way back from when he did The Station Agent, he's just been incredible. And then Marlee Matlin, who won the Oscar for Children of a Lesser God. those were definitely the ones that I looked up to. And now, you know, the Ali Strokers are really like blazing the trail. And I mean, there are so many that you should keep an eye on, but I'll just plug two in particular. Bridie McKim, who is an amazing young actress. She's the first person with cerebral palsy to graduate from NIDA's acting degree.
Wow.
And she's one of the leads in the ABC television show The Heights by Matchbox Pictures. And I think in doing so, she's one of the first disabled leads of an Australian TV show as well. And she is one of my closest friends and is awesome. And then also William Reese, who's an actor I mentor, who's only 17 years old. And he just played the lead at the Old Fitz Theatre in Sydney in The Cripple of Inishmaan by Martin McDonough.
Wow.
And he is just slaying it. And he's still in year 12, and it's ridiculous.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, it's really exciting.
Did you actually Google that when you were younger, actors with disabilities?
Yeah. I mean, like, that's the thing as well, is like, when you don't see yourself represented, you're hungry for it. And like, as a gay disabled teen, I watched so much queer cinema, and that's kind of what made me fall in love with filmmaking and made me feel less alone in being gay. But I couldn't find that for disability, and that's part of the reason why I wanted to make Pulse and kind of be part of, you know, hopefully this movement.
Wow, incredible.
Yeah.
Another question coming through.
Love
What is
it.
the ultimate role you would love to play? You're not allowed to say Richard III.
Okay. I really love Prior Walter and Angels in America. I can only really think of theatre roles because with film, they're always like, I don't really want to be in a remake. So, you know, Prior Walter, Angels in America. Joseph Merrick, the Elephant Man, I really want to play, but I did that at Malthouse Theatre, so dreams coming true. Yeah.
What has been your favourite co-star to date?
Oh, gosh, that's too hard.
It's a good question.
That's a great question. Well, I just have to shout out to my Lord of the Flies cast because, like, they are just so beautiful and great, and we're like a really gross big family, and yeah. And
Come on, like.
yeah. So oh my gosh, there's 11 of us. So
Here we go.
oh my gosh, Mia Wasikowska, Eliza Scanlon, Yaren Ha, Rahel Roman, Justin Amanqua, Mark Paggio, Nikita Waldron. How many is that? Okay.
Guy really put you on the spot here.
No.
Such
And
a bad guy.
I can do this. And Contessa Trafone and me and and Nick Calder and is that 11?
I think that's 11.
Yeah.
And then you.
But also as well, what's been really great, Rahel Roman, who plays Piggy, and I play Roger. And for those who know the book, knows what Roger does to Piggy.
Yes.
And what's great is we've been friends for like 5 years, and we've been wanting to act together so desperately. And so it's so beautiful. Like, I'm so cruel to him, but then afterwards we just like hug, and he helps me walk to my dressing room, and it's really lovely.
So in the play, there's just indescribable cruelty.
And just
then
hatred.
afterwards, he's like, come on, let's
just
go to the
love.
green room.
It's so
Let's have a
nice.
cup of tea.
Exactly.
It's kind of twisted.
It totally is.
What changed your belief about being able to become an actor? That is a brilliant question.
Yeah. A couple of things. So when I gave up being acting, I decided to become a filmmaker. And I went to AFTRS, the Australian Film, Television, Radio School. And it was when I was developing Pulse, and the character was very much based on me, that I was kind of like, well, if I'm ever going to act, this is my film, and I can cast myself. And so at first it was like, I'll just act in this film. And like I trained for 2 years as an actor to act in the film, and then realized this is really what I want to do. But also as well, something that really kind of opened my mind and really made me realize my own internalized ableism and the limitations I was putting on myself was I think it was 2014, I did Accessible Arts, which is the New South Wales disability arts organisation. They had a Catalyst Masterclass, which was a dance masterclass for people with and without disability. And that was I did the masterclass, and it was my first experience of being with my disabled community outside of a medical context. And a medical context is a really shit context. And so it was really amazing and really confronting and really beautiful, and it really challenged all my notions about my own disability and about our community and what was possible. And since Accessible Arts have been a really great supporter of me and my work, but I definitely don't think that was definitely my entry into the disability arts community in a really beautiful way.
I mean, we have a question that's very appropriate after that from James. He asks, is Australia progressive when it comes to supporting people with a disability, or are we behind other parts of the world?
Yeah, I mean, I can speak specifically as an actor with a disability and in my industry, but in terms of, I feel like London's the most progressive, and not only in terms of the industry, but just in terms of, and when I say London, I mean the UK. I just live in London, so I just, but also in terms of the supports for people with disability, and definitely when I went over there, I feel like Australia's in the middle, LA's the furthest behind, and London's the most progressive, because my experience of LA was really difficult as a person with disability, whereas in London it felt like they just opened doors and they wanted to meet you, and so but I feel like we're heading in the right direction. I feel like we're heading in the right direction, even if we're, a couple of years behind type thing.
Sure. And one of the last Q&As, disability aside, how does the theatre landscape here in Australia compare to somewhere like London and the rest of the world?
I think it's amazing. I mean, I think it's amazing. Even right now, like SDC have a show, Secret River, which is playing in Edinburgh at the festival, and it's going to be in the National Theatre in the UK. And I think our work really stands as an incredible and is incredible. And I think it's also really important we have it because, I mean, in London, particularly in the West End, there can be big money in theatre, whereas in Australia, it feels much more for artistic and cultural purposes, which are really important. And so the support we receive of theatre here is, really important.
So, I mean, next, Donmar Theatre.
Yeah.
What about after that? Are we going to see your name in Broadway?
Oh my God, my favorite place on the world is New York City, so I would dream for that. Broadway is on my 14-year-old girl vision board.
Is that on the vision board? Is that right at the top?
100%.
Okay.
But
So that's it? Is that the number one goal, do you think?
What I would love as well is, I love doing theatre so much, but I came from film and I'm like a film lover and a cinema lover, and definitely theatre everywhere in the world is much more progressive when it comes to disabilities than film, which is why I've been able to have so many opportunities. But I hope off the back of Donmar and kind of my London debut on stage, I might be able to get some more meaty film and TV opportunities. That would be the dream.
Fantastic. And just before I let you go, I hear that there's another film in the works.
Yes.
Can you tell me about this before we lose you?
Yeah, so it's with my film partner who directed Pulse, the amazing Stevie Cruz Martin. So it's very early days. I've just written the first draft, but it's another film that is very personal, and I will act and am writing and she will direct. But it's a couple years off yet, I think. But I'm very excited.
You sound disgustingly talented.
Not at all.
Writing, producing, acting. An absolute treasure, though, to have you here in the studio. Thank you so much. A round of applause for Daniel Monks.
Thanks, everyone.
You've been watching Build Series Sydney.